Thank you for tuning in to Health Talk from Peggy's Whole Foods. And if you were kind of keeping up with us on Facebook, I just had a major concussion, no joke. Blood was pouring out. We had it on Facebook for a little while, but it was kind of gross, and I took it off Facebook, and I probably ought to put it back on Facebook again, but I probably won't. I'm getting a signal from the boss. No, don't put that back on Facebook. There's too much blood. But I split my head open. 2-inch pipe, 35 pounds, hit me. I'm in a big rush, hurricane damage, and major concussion. I just about killed myself. I'm not kidding. Just ridiculous. Anyways, what's a person to do in the holistic realm? And I took the knowledge that I do have and applicable to that situation, and I applied it to myself. So I went for inflammation, because you have brain swelling and skull fracture and the whole works, blood clotting, possible blood clotting, and I'm thinking, okay, what can I do for myself? What does science have to offer? Well, that's my backyard, isn't it? And I started taking my supplementation. I took it easy. I drank plenty of water. I stayed hydrated. One of the things I did is I did creatine and amino acid, because it's a cellular volumizer and it increases healing, faster pace, and I did that. But what else did I do? Well, I was afraid of blood clotting because the blow was severe. Those of you who saw it on Facebook, while we had it there for about, I guess I had it on for about a week. I left it on for about 1 week. And I split from here down to here. Now it's healing beautifully. I heal really fast, I think due to the supplements also I take, and a really clean diet, a high protein, a lot of vegetables. And I was worried about blood clotting, so one of the things I did nattokinase. And nattokinase is an enzyme that can feed on blood clots that was scientifically developed in Japan. So we have a Japanese variety, not an American variety, but the true patented Japanese form, and I did nattokinase. The reason I'm telling you all this is I'd like to share some of the different aspects in which holistic healing can be utilized by us common folk, just us everyday people. And what I want to share with you is what I took and why I took it. So for blood clotting, the nattokinase, an enzyme, when taken on an empty stomach, can feed on coagulated blood, soft stuff in the blood pathways, because a blow like that can cause a pretty severe hematoma below the skull also. Another thing I did for restorative purposes is I took fish oils. Now this is an enteric-coated fish oil, which protects the very delicate omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA from damage by hydrochloric acids in the stomach. It also gives it anti-burp characteristics. So I took that. I took B vitamins for utilization of proteins for rebuilding damaged tissues, because we got to remember the skull's tissue, and this was split wide open, and all proteins, all amino acids are not utilized by the body until they have a wrap of B complex. So I kept my B complex up, and I took it in the form of a coenzymated form, which all B complexes before utilization have to be wrapped by a coenzyme, an enzyme produced in the liver. So I eliminated that. Super B complex. These are some body science products I'm telling you about, and once again, I'm sharing this to show you what we can do, what we have achieved scientifically in the holistic community, what we can do. Okay, inflammation. I took MSM, an organic sulfur, a natural anti-inflammatory, a blood vessel dilator, increasing blood flow, and a natural pain reliever. I took MSM. I took Celadrin, esterified fish oil peptide. In most situations, by a lot of companies, not made properly. And one of the tricks with these esterified peptides was getting a science behind it to where it was assimilable, where the body could partake in these peptides. So we have that in Body Science, but that's another one I took. Now, restoratively speaking too, I wanted something to nurture some damaged tissues, because I'm not gonna, make no two ways about it. I was not doing well for a couple of days, and I'm doing way better now. I think I'm probably 10 days out of it approximately, and I did phosphatidylserine, 300 milligrams. I'm doing 2 of those, 600 milligrams a day, because it nurtures the neuroreceptors, the synapse, the brain tissue itself, and there's phospholipids in this formula. Very, very nurturing, along with the omega-3 fatty acids. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that for a moment, because there's so much we can do in the holistic realm to help ourselves. We still have the freedom to make a choice whether we want to go medically or not. And if it had been maybe a little bit worse, I probably would have gone to the hospital. But I had the support of my family, and I made it through that concussion. And once again, it was a no joke concussion. By the way, we're filming out here today at the ranch, and I hope you enjoy the view behind me. I know it'll be a lot nicer looking than myself. Alrighty, let's talk about something different. Let's talk about something that's been on my mind for a long time. After 17 years of broadcasting on radio, we have endeavored to stream and archive, so you're going to be able to pull up all these times together in the archive. And after 17 years, if you've been listening to me, I broadcasted from 3 different radio stations. We've done some television, and I've presented hundreds of seminars. Those who know me know just one of them, now there's a bunch. One of the issues paramount on my mind is osteoporosis. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our aunts, our wives, sisters, daughters, osteopenia and osteoporosis is an epidemic in America, and we are the only nation in the world suffering these numbers of osteoporosis. And of course, the women folk pretty much have that load on their shoulders. So I'm going to talk about osteoporosis for a moment, because with the science that we have, with the knowledge we have, it should not be happening here in America. We're way further than that. And of course, one of the biggest scams out there is going to be calcium citrate, which is a carbonate with the citrate chelator, an amino acid citrate chelator, but it's a carbonate base. It does not absorb by the human body. We take more calcium than any nation in the world. Why do we lead the world in osteopenia and osteoporosis and degenerating, disintegrating hips, bones, breaks, fractures? You know, the majority of women that fall down don't fall down and break their hip. Their hip crumbles and they go down, and they compound the problem when they hit. Bad news, bad news. I'm pretty passionate on this because it shouldn't be happening to the women. You know, are women not really special in our lives? You know, for us guys, right? Well, the only calcium ever proven to reverse trabecular bone loss is microcrystalline hydroxyapatite calcium. It's the only one recognized by the body, and it's the only one recognized by osteoblast. Microcrystalline hydroxyapatite. You can get it in Calcium Plus Minerals. Body Science. The simplicity of what we can do, if we can get this message out to people. Let me clear up another misnomer on building bone. Vitamin D builds bone. Wrong. Vitamin D does not build bone. In its original form, vitamin D does zero to build bone. Vitamin D is a producer of osteoblast. It must first produce the osteoblast, and vitamin D does do that. But are you taking a real vitamin D? Are you taking a vitamin D that the body can assimilate and manufacture the osteoblast? Very, very important. I would say big box stores and mail order, most of that vitamin D, forget about it. It's not going to produce osteoblasts. You got to remember, we take more supplementation than any other nation in the world, and we lead the world in every category of disease. Why? Because most of the supplementation we're taking is garbage. So we want to cut through the bull. Life is precious. Your health is precious. The women in your life, precious. We want to protect them. Look out for one another. Take good supplementation. Body Science, Nature's Purest, phenomenal brands. There's some others out there. We're not the only ones. There's some great brands out there, but the majority of supplementation on the market, not assimilable. The body not able to utilize those supplements. And we're taking them by the handfuls. Big box stores are the most guilty of all. So microcrystalline hydroxyapatite form of calcium. Now let me give you another one a lot of people don't realize, and another very important mineral. You might think magnesium. Yeah, magnesium's important. You need it to build bone. You need some magnesium, but it's not number two. Phosphorus is number two in a microcrystalline form. Again, the only calcium ever scientifically proven to reverse trabecular bone loss, microcrystalline hydroxyapatite calcium, along with microcrystalline phosphorus. Again, that's in iron-free calcium plus minerals, which has an entire host of other minerals that are in the bones and utilized by the body also. So we covered vitamin D that produces the osteoblast. Remember that calcium by itself will not make it into your bone. It has to have the escort of osteoblast, a hormone produced by the human body, by vitamin D, the other source, by the hormone progesterone. Now let me talk about that for just a moment to give you a heads up on progesterone. In America, we live in an estrogen-saturated environment. This estrogen-saturated environment we live in takes a toll on the ratio of estrogens and progesterone as far as usage and aggressively pursuing receptor sites, everything that happens within the body. We operate in a deficit for the usage of the hormone progesterone. We're talking about women. Progesterone also attaches to calcium in the blood and pushes it into the bone. So bad ratios are too high a ratio of estrogen to progesterone and lack of progesterone, you're not going to get the bone building. It's just not going to take place. So progesterone cream, as shown by Dr. John R. Lee, I love his series of books. I like his first book the best, which are Dr. May Not Tell You About Premenopause, is the best book that he wrote. Phenomenal book, excellent book. And it talks about the science of how to regain bone density, how to build up osteoblast in the blood, and how to turn around things like osteopenia and osteoporosis. You know, I've watched women do this for years. Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing if we could get that information out to everybody? Progesterone. We have that again in Body Science. It's a liposomal delivered progesterone cream in Body Science with an adrenal formula in it. So it kind of helps, you know, energy levels, body metabolism, turning on the endocrine system that the adrenals take care of. It's a great, great progesterone cream. You know, not to mention the hormone progesterone being beneficial in the areas of fibrocystic breast disease, such as what was published in Obstetrics and Gynecology, I believe in 1972. Breast tissues returned to normal. In other words, a lumpectomy wasn't needed. pretty cool science. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry has set their sights on progesterone cream for literally years. They've set their sights on progesterone to get it off the market, because what are other estrogen-driven problems does our society have to deal with, our women have to deal with? Well, you have fibrocystic breast disease and breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer, endometrial cancer, and endometriosis. You know, besides osteopenia and osteoporosis, where the hormone progesterone aggressively pursues receptor sites, displacing toxic estrogens. Because at the end of the day, we're going to find out, I'm telling you, listen up, we're going to find out these toxic estrogens, these toxic estrogen mimicking compounds from petroleum distillates are going to be the #1 cause of cancer across the board in America for men and women, but in the case of women, progesterone. So, kind of wanted to drift into that just for a minute to show you some of the multifaceted aspects of something like progesterone in the system. Not only in bones, but in so many other things. You know, smooth skin, great hair, nice fingernails, cardiovascular system, structural integrity of the cardiovascular walls and veins, and so many different positive aspects. But getting back to osteopenia and osteoporosis once again, I can't tell you the importance of taking a good calcium. And I have a lot of friends that will tell me, and customers will come in and tell me, they'll say, well, my doctor told me that if I eat a balanced diet, I'll get all the calcium I need. I get all the minerals I need. If I drink milk, if I eat dairy products, I'll get all I need. What I'd like to remind you of is simply this. We had, I think 1920s coming into 1930 was the first report by the Department of Agriculture stating that our topsoil has been depleted of minerals, and there will be many and various elements plaguing the American public. Now, that was updated about 5 or 6 years ago. The Department of Agriculture updated that report and said that we're now at less than 15% of the original mineral content of the topsoil of America. So you can eat bushels of vegetables, the minerals aren't there. Your stomach cannot hold enough food to get adequate minerals to support everything happening that minerals play a physiological impact with. Supplementation, I'm sorry, but it's a sign of the times. We need supplementation to be healthy today. You're not going to get it in the food. You're not going to get it in organics. I can tell you that right now. I've done work with the Department of Agriculture, and it just isn't happening. Matter of fact, we were about a year and a half ago, we were on TV at Daytona State College with the Department of Agriculture, and I'm considered an organic gardening expert on television on Discovery Channel, Channel 15, with Daytona State College. And we're supposed to do another show with them, so I do know what I'm talking about on these matters. The minerals are not in the ground. In the organic realm, they're not in the ground. Organics, because of the rating changed, have came kind of full circle around to a science where they're using the same phosphates and nitrogen that traditional agriculture uses, but in an organic certified form, lacking all the minerals and trace minerals. They're not there. And like anybody else who's trying to make it in the industry, if you have osteopenia and osteoporosis, you're eating all these vegetables. These vegetable growers, even in the organic realm, are producing as many crops off the same plot as they can get away with in 1 year. The ground's not resting. They're growing 1, 2, 3 crops, same ground, every year, every year, every year. They're not replacing minerals. There's a reason we're leading the world in osteopenia and osteoporosis. Did you know over 50% of women who fall from a hip fracture never get back up again? That's sad. They never get, that's the women of our life I'm talking about. This is the future. When you look at your daughter and you look at your wife, when you look at your aunts and your grandmother, their future's bleak for good bone health. In America, if we don't get proactive and do something about it. We've got to do something about it. Take a good mineral. Calcium Plus Minerals, Body Science. I'm going to show it to you again. Kabang.